All right, hello again, first grade students. This is Mrs. Stephanie Jones, and we're going to continue with reading. This is week 1, day 3, part 2. So we read through Animal Teams once already, and we're going to read through it again. If you notice, I've got it a little bit smaller on my screen right now. That is so that I'll be able to pull up the work pages that you have in your AMI packet easier and be able to show you how to do those things. So remember we talked about the genre. It was nonfiction, which means that it's about real life, about real things. These fish are real, the way they live in the sea is real, the way they live in the ocean is real, the way they swim in schools together are real. There's also some other animals in this story that we read, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about some of those animals that we read about in that first video today. All right, again, this is Animal Teams, and we're going to go ahead and read through that again before we answer our questions.
Can a small bird help a big giraffe? Can a shrimp help a fish? Yes, they can. These may seem like odd friends, but many animals work together in teams. These animals help each other in lots of ways. Let's find out how. Some birds live off the backs of big animals. Why do the animals let the birds stay? The birds help. They eat bugs off the animal's skin. The big animals help the birds too. They keep the birds safe. And it is a good deal for them because they have lots of sweet bugs to eat. The goby fish and the blind shrimp make a good team. The shrimp can't see, so the goby helps. The goby looks out for danger, and the shrimp stays close. When the goby flicks its tail, it means that it is time to hide. The shrimp helps the goby too. It will go into a hole to hide. It lets the goby hide here too. The shrimp and the goby hide until it is safe to go out. Zebras and wildebeests live on the hot plains. They both like to eat grass all day. These animals are seen together a lot. Why? They stay together because they can help each other find fresh grass to eat. They also help each other keep safe. If a zebra or a wildebeest spots danger, it runs. This tells the rest to run too. Many fish want to eat the little clownfish. It needs a safe home, so it lives in a sea anemone. The clownfish is safe because most fish stay away. Why? The sea anemone stings, but the clownfish cannot feel its sting. The clownfish helps its partner too. It swims in and out, in and out. It chases away big fish that could hurt its pal. A caterpillar needs to be safe so that it can grow. Who will help? Ants will. Ants see the caterpillar and take it to a safe place. Why do ants do this? The caterpillar has a sweet liquid on its skin. The ants like the taste. Soon the caterpillar will be a pretty blue butterfly. When a little cleaner fish wants to eat, it looks for bigger fish to clean. Why? It gets a free meal when it cleans. A cleaner fish eats the pests off of other fish. The big fish want to be cleaned. They line up and wait for the cleaner fish to get to them. One is big and one is small, but the two are a team. When animals team up, they do what is best for both of them.
All right, let's go ahead and look at our reading writing companion. You should have some pages in your AMI pack that look like this. We'll start with page number 58, At the top of that page in red, it says read. I'll give you a few seconds to go ahead and find that page. If you need to pause the video, you can do that as well. All right. The directions say retell the text in your own words and write about the text. The first question says, why does the clownfish live in a sea anemone? And there's a spot here for text evidence, and we have to put the page number. So that means what I need to do is I need to look back in that story that we read. I know you guys don't have your anthology books, but we do have this digital copy right here. And I see all these clownfish right here. So I think what we need to do is probably just reread that page together quickly to get that answer.
Many fish want to eat the little clownfish. It needs a safe home, so it lives in a sea anemone. The clownfish is safe because most fish stay away. Why? The sea anemone stings, but the clownfish cannot feel its sting.
So that question says, why does the clownfish live in a sea anemone? I will let you guys think about that, but what we can go ahead and do in the meantime is put that page number. We found that on page number 46 in the story, so we're going to put a 4 and a 6. Does anybody remember why the clownfish live there? Give you just a few seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our text tells us that the clownfish stay there to keep them safe. They need a safe home. And that home stings other fish, but it doesn't sting the clownfish. So what we're going to write in that area is the clownfish need a safe home. The home stings other fish. And if you have trouble seeing that on the video, that's okay. You can do your best to sound that out and write it, or you can ask a parent, a grandparent, or a sibling for help. The second question says, why do ants help caterpillars? Well, I think we're going to have to try and find that page. And right here, I see that there are ants and caterpillars. So let's go ahead and reread those pages.
A caterpillar needs to be safe so that it can grow. Who will help? Ants will. Ants see the caterpillar and take it to a safe place. Why do ants do this? The caterpillar has a sweet liquid on its skin. The ants like the taste. Soon the caterpillar will be a pretty blue butterfly.
So the question says, why do the ants help caterpillars? I'm going to give you guys just a few seconds to think about that question. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Some things that you might be thinking about is that the text told us that the caterpillar needs a safe place and needs to be safe so that it can grow. So you might be thinking that the ants are doing that to keep the caterpillar safe. But when we look at page number 49, that's going to be where our text evidence is. Page 49, that's a 4 and a 9. It says that the caterpillar has a sweet liquid on its skin and the ants like the taste. So that the reason the ants help the caterpillars is because of the sweet liquid that they have. So we're going to go ahead and put 49 in our text evidence. And we're going to go ahead and get that answer written down. The caterpillar has a sweet liquid that the ants like on its body. All right, again, if you need help spelling that and you can't see it, go ahead and sound it out the best way you can, or ask a parent, a grandparent, or a sibling for help. I'll give you just a few seconds to try and get that finished up. All right, on page number 59, it says we're going to connect to the other story that we read called A Team of Fish. Talk about how the texts are the same and different. Write about the texts. The first question says, how are the texts alike? I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes to think about that story we read yesterday called A Team of Fish, and the story we read today called Animal Teams. What do you guys think are similar or like each other? Some of you might be thinking that both of those stories have the word team in the title, and that's true. One of them is titled A Team of Fish, and the other one is called Animal Teams. So both of those texts that we read were talking about how animals work together as teams. Another thing that is similar is that both of those texts are non-fiction. They are about real things in real life. So what I'm going to write for that answer is I'm going to say they are both non-fiction texts. Both texts tell about how animals work in teams. And if you need to pause to get that written down or write it in your own wording, that's fine. The second question says, why is it important for animals to help each other? I want you guys to think about that. On this question, I want you to talk about it with someone at home. Maybe talk back and forth and get some ideas and then fill that out on your own, okay? Let's flip to page number 60. It looks just like this. It has a picture of the story we read today that says Animal Teams, and it says reread in green with anchor text at the top. It says talk about how the animals on pages 42 and 43 help each other. Write clues from the text, otherwise known as text evidence, and photos to complete the chart. The first side of this graphic organizer says what text says. The second side says what photos show. The question we're going to be answering says, how do the text and photos help you understand how animals work as a team? Our first step is going to be flipping back to pages 42 and 43. I remember reading about the goby fish. You guys remember reading about the goby fish? Let's think about some of the things that it says. We can go ahead and reread those pages just to make sure we remember.
The goby fish and the blind shrimp make a good team. The shrimp can't see, so the goby helps. The goby looks out for danger, and the shrimp stays close. When the goby flicks its tail, it means that it is time to hide. The shrimp helps the goby too. It will go into a hole to hide. It lets the goby hide here too. The shrimp and the goby hide until it is safe to go out.
Okay, so what did that tell us, those words that we just read? Why don't you take a few seconds to think about that? What the text says is that the goby fish and the shrimp work together to keep each other safe. Then let's talk about what the photos show. Let's look at those photos. Up here we see the fish and the shrimp and they're close together. It looks like they're working together. And then on page 43, if you look closely, you can tell that they're both down in the hole. So that photo shows how they work together. The photo shows the two animals working together. So for that question, how do the text and photos help you understand how the animals work as a team? If we didn't have those words, or we didn't have those photos, would we be able to understand how the shrimp and the goby fish work together? Probably not. I'll give you a few seconds to think about that answer. The answer to that question is that the text tells what the animals do, and the photos show how they do it. So the text tells what the animals do, and the photos show how they do it. If you need to pause to get those answers written down, you can pause the video. I'm going to move on to page number 61 in your AMI packet. It should be the next page that you're on. The directions say talk about the question the author asks at the end of page 44. Write clues from the text that answer the author's question. There's a box here that says answer. The question at the bottom of this page says, how does the author help you understand the information about this animal team? So let's go ahead and look at page 44 because that's going to be our first step. And remember, we're going to be paying close attention to a question that the author asks.
Zebras and wildebeests live on the hot plains. They both like to eat grass all day. These animals are seen together a lot. Why?
All right. So the author is asking us, why are those two animals seen together a lot? What did we just read on that page? Let me give you a few seconds to think about that. All right. So remember we just read that and it said that the reason they are together is because they both live in the hot plains and they both like to eat grass. So the reason that we see the zebras and the wildebeest together is they both like to eat grass. The next question on that page says, how does the author help you understand the information about this animal team? The information about the zebra and the wildebeest. I'll give you a few seconds to think. The author helps me to understand on page 44 by asking and answering a question about the animal team. They ask us, the animals are seen together a lot. Why? Well, that makes me think. I can also continue reading on page 45 to double check my answer.
They stay together because they can help each other find fresh grass to eat. They also help each other keep safe. If a zebra or a wildebeest spots danger, it runs. This tells the rest to run too.
So we need to go ahead and get that answer put on page 61. The reason that the way that the author helps us to understand the information about that animal team is that the author asks and answers a question about the animal team. So the first time the author asks the question, it makes us, the readers, think for the answer. And then as we read on, we can absolutely confirm that we were right. The reason that they are seen together is because they both like to eat grass. All right, this is the last page that we are going to do today for reading. Page number 62. You're doing a great job. You're almost done. At the top it says reread anchor text. The directions say share how the animals on pages 48 through 51 help each other. Write what you learn about the animal teams on these pages. The first box says pages 48 through 49. The second box says pages 50 through 51. So in the first box, we're only going to write about things we see on pages 48 and 49. And in the second box, we are only going to write the things that we see on pages 50 and 51. It's very important that you put the right information in the right box. Then we're going to answer the question at the bottom that says, why does the author show so many different animal teams? Well, let's go ahead and look at pages 48 and 49. Okay. And this is something that I'm going to let you guys do. We're going to reread it, and I'm going to let you write what you learn from these pages.
A caterpillar needs to be safe so that it can grow. Who will help? Ants will. Ants see the caterpillar and take it to a safe place. Why do ants do this? The caterpillar has a sweet liquid on its skin. The ants like the taste. Soon the caterpillar will be a pretty blue butterfly.
All right, now let's look at those other pages 50 and 51. So remember in the first box, we read about the caterpillar and the ants. Now we're going to look at 50 and 51.
When a little cleaner fish wants to eat, it looks for bigger fish to clean. Why? It gets a free meal when it cleans. A cleaner fish eats the pests off of other fish. The big fish want to be cleaned. They line up and wait for the cleaner fish to get to them.
Okay, so on 50 and 51, remember that we learned about the cleaner fish. So let's talk about this question together before our video ends. It says, why does the author show so many different animal teams? Give you just a few seconds to think about that. I think that the answer is the author wants to show that when animals work in teams, it helps both animals. And by showing us so many different teams, we know that it can happen with all kind of different animals. We saw the small bird and the big animal. We saw the fish and the shrimp. So there are so many different teams that we just saw in this text. So I'll let you get that copy down. And that's all I've got for you for week 3. Thanks for sticking this out. I know it was a longer video. I'm glad that you worked along with me. I hope that you learned a lot today and that you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.